Hello students, I am Dr. Gitika Datta, Principal, Bhavan Lilavati Munshi College of Education, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, New Delhi. Today we are going to discuss a very interesting and innovative topic, that is concept mapping and how it is used for content and pedagogical analysis. So first of all, we shall start with concept mapping. Now concept mapping is basically comprised of two words, that is concept and mapping. So let us first of all try to understand what is a concept. You must have heard about the concept lot of times. So now what is the definition of concept? Let us try to see this. Concept is a perceived regularity in events or objects or records of events or objects designated by a label. Now this definition is given by Novak in 1991. It is basically an idea characterized by some essential features with a defined boundary. Concepts may be concrete systems such as table, chair, digestive system, atom, or they may also be abstract concepts such as truth, beauty, goodness, democracy, justice, etc. Now if you look around you, we all are surrounded by concepts. There are tables, chairs, fans, light. Each and every object is a concept within itself. A light as a concept is very different from fan. Fan as a concept or chair as a concept is very different from sofa. Sofa as a concept is very different from bed. So all of these are concepts which have some definite boundary. Say for example, digestive system is a concept. So in digestive system there are number of constituent parts of the body and they are working towards a purpose. Now if I ask you a question, heart, is heart a part of digestive system? Your answer would be no, because heart is not considered to be a part of digestive system because it is not contributing to the overall objective of digestive system. So we understand that there are boundaries for each concept. Say for example, there are some essential attributes and there are some non-essential attributes also. Say we take the concept of metals. Metals, we all understand, they are hard, they are solid, they are good with their malleability and they are good with their conductivity, etc., etc. And there is also a metal known as mercury. Now what is the difference between all the other metals and mercury? Mercury is liquid, and in spite of being in liquid state, it is still considered to be a metal because liquidity or the state of this thing is not essential attribute of metals. So all concepts, they have got certain defined idea, they have got certain defined you can say boundary, and there are certain concepts which do not, or there are certain things which do not come within the purview of that particular concept. So when you are talking of circulatory system, heart is an essential component or heart is a part of the circulatory system, but it is not a part of your digestive system. Now let us see what is concept mapping. Now concept mapping is a very innovative and a recent idea. It is not very old. It is a generic term that describes any process for representing ideas in pictures or maps. So it's a graphical representation of concepts and ideas. It was developed by Joseph Novak, an American educator interested in knowledge creation and representation. Concept map is a structured methodology for organizing of ideas of a group or an organization and to bring together diverse groups of stakeholders and help them to form a common framework that can be used for planning or evaluation both. So concepts map, they have got varied purposes. They are a very good way of representing different ideas and to see how they are interconnected. It's a way of organizing and representing knowledge in the form of a diagram which shows relationship between different concepts. So, and concept maps these days are very interestingly used. So, this is a concept map on concept map. So, as you can see and you can follow the cursor, concept maps, they represent organized knowledge useful for effective learning and teaching, and they represent organized knowledge and they can be context dependent, for example social or personal. Concept maps, they include linking words, they include concepts and they include prepositions. Linking words are showing interconnections or cross links. So if you study this concept map, it basically makes it very clear what concept map is all about, and it also is very good in explaining how concept maps are made. So this is a very good example of a concept map on explaining the concept of the concept map. Now, how do we make concept maps? Concepts are depicted as shapes in a concept map. Generally, they are depicted as circles, or they are depicted as squares or rectangles. They have got certain linking words or phrases which are located on the lines connecting two ideas and or the concept, and which highlight the relationship. Then there are propositional structures, which are basically meaningful statements made up of two or more concepts connected with connecting words. So propositional structures are also there, and there is a hierarchical structure. Concept maps follow a hierarchical structure in which the key and the most comprehensive concepts are shown at the top, and subsidiary concepts are following the key concepts. They can also be shown, the key concept can also be shown in the middle, and thereafter all the in different branches in all directions they can show the subsidiary concepts or ideas. Then there are the cross links. Cross links are the links between various concepts in different domains. Now, there are different types of concepts maps. Now, the most simple type of concept map is the chain concept map, and as you can see, this is an example of a chain concept map where flowers attract insects with nectar in order to transfer pollen from male parts to female parts. So, this is actually explaining how pollination works. Then we have another type of concept map which is known as a spoke kind of concept map. Spoke, like the spoke of a wheel, they are depicting relationships in different directions. So here you can see flowers produce seeds, flowers have female parts, flowers produce pollen. So they are trying to show the different parts, different functions of a flower. And then there is the third type of concept map which is also known as the network concept map, and these are a little complicated. So you can see here, this is an example of a network concept map where flowers and its functions and parts are explained by way of, you can see these are linking words, these are the arrows, and relationships between the main concept, the subsidiary concepts, and the following concepts are shown. Now, looking into all of these kinds of concept maps, I'll be showing you other examples also. Say a chain concept map. So this is a concept mapping for planning and evaluation. So we start with the issue or question, then preparing for concept map. This is basically trying to explain how a concept map is made. Then generating the ideas, structuring the statements. Then comes the concept mapping analysis, then interpreting the map, utilization and action. So this is a very good example of a concept map on how to use concept maps for planning and evaluation. Let us go back, let us see an example of a spoke kind of a concept map. So this is a spoke kind of a concept map on motivation, which is showing the concept of motivation is different theories, the process theories, the content theories, and trying to explain the different dynamics which are involved as far as the concept of motivation is concerned. Let us go back. Now we will show an example of a network kind of a concept map. So this is again a network kind of a concept map on concept map. So you can see this, it represents all the ideas which concept maps contains, and all the interrelationships are shown. The earlier one was a very simple kind of a concept map, it was a spoke kind of a concept map. This is a network kind of a concept maps. So if you study this, you can very well understand how a concept map is made and how ideas are depicted and shown on a concept map. Now let us move forward. Now this is a kind of a concept map which is prepared depicting the different diverse kinds of learners in our classroom as an example. So say if you see different kinds of learners, we have the so-called normal learners, we have different kinds of disabilities, we have cognitive disability, we have these are neurological disabilities or genetic or the gifted children. So these are different kinds of learners, so the socially marginalized or disadvantaged children. So if you see, this is how a concept map is showing all the different diverse kinds of learners which we have in our classroom, and teacher can, once all of these different groups are there on the table in front of him or her, teacher can very well understand or plan accordingly according to the needs of the learners. So what are the advantages of using concept maps? Concept maps have got very sound psychological basis. They are based on sound psychological principles and ideas. So, but in simplistic terms, we can say that they help in identifying connections between ideas and their understanding. they help in the visual representation, and visual, as we understand that majority of the learners, they learn better when they see things. So visual representation leads to better learning and at higher levels of learning. We know that there are different levels of learning. We all are aware of Bloom's taxonomy. So we have the lowest level of learning, that is knowledge, understanding, application. Then we have higher order learning skills, for example, analysis, synthesis, evaluation, or analysis, analysis, evaluation and creation. So these concept maps generally lead to better and higher levels of learning, and they also help in better retention. We may learn things, but we also have a tendency to forget. But if we use concept map, it has been proven through researches that it helps in better retention and better memory. It utilizes full range of right and left hemispheres of the brain. It helps in clarifying and structuring of ideas in a very logical manner. So people get to know what is the position of different ideas and what is the interrelationship between different ideas. It is helpful in learning at higher levels, that is we already have discussed. Then it encourages students to think creatively about the subject. Now there is no one way of making a concept map, even if the topic is the same. Different students, using their own imagination and creativity, will come up with different kinds of concept maps, which is very good for their promotion of their creativity among students, and it is very helpful for the teachers as well as the students in knowing the gaps in understanding or misconceptions which the students may have. So it is considered to be a very sound, one of the very important and innovative ways of learning things. Now we come to the usage of concept maps for content analysis and pedagogical analysis. Now in order to understand that, we need to first of all understand what is content analysis. So let us see what is content analysis. Content analysis is basically acquiring an in-depth knowledge and understanding of the content or the subject matter. So basically content is whatever content that we are dealing with. Say if I am an English teacher, or I am a Hindi teacher, or I am a social science teacher, I will try to scan and see what content exactly I am going to transact. So it's basically and brushing up all the different developments which are happening in that particular space. So it is acquiring an in-depth knowledge and understanding of the content or subject matter. It includes surveying a large amount of content and identifying how to segment it into meaningful or manageable parts. And it is a pre-planned instructional analytical planning tool. So it has to be done before we start with our instructional planning, or it's a part of our instructional planning. First of all, we need to analyze what exactly are we going to transact, that is the content part, and then trying to sequence it in a logical and psychological manner. Now, what are the purpose of content analysis? It helps in identifying what is to be learned with respect to the concepts. It facilitates the continued planning of instruction, that is, it helps the teacher develop appropriate goals and objectives. It also helps the teacher in selecting pertinent instructional methods, activities and materials to be used in instruction. So once we are clear with what exactly is our content, then we will be in a better position to plan and then move ahead. This is an example of content analysis using concept maps. So we can see this is social science class 8 textbook, not the textbook, it's the curriculum, and the different topics of the curriculum, they are shown by way of a concept map. So we can see these are the different units, topics which are there, and each of these units, they have got different chapters. So you can see these are different chapters, constituent chapters of each unit, and thereafter the main ideas or concepts are shown in subsequently ahead of each of these chapters. It is now, when we are putting all of these things on a concept map, at a glance we get to know what different ideas are we dealing with, and then how do we proceed with them, and then we can also see there can be certain correlations or there can be certain interconnections between different topics or subject areas or different units. Here we see there is a unit on social justice and the marginalized, then we have another unit on Indian constitution and secularism and judiciary. If we look at from one perspective, so the marginalized sections of society, if we want to see what provisions are there in the Indian constitutions and what provisions are there in the judiciary, so we can make these interconnections and try to understand, and then we can decide how we can take these things together while we are transacting this content. So this is one example of content analysis. Then we come to pedagogical analysis. Now we need to first of all understand what is pedagogical analysis. First of all, what is pedagogy? We all are in the profession of teaching, so we know that pedagogy is the art and science of teaching. Then comes pedagogical analysis. What is pedagogical analysis? It is the analysis of the given content material in any subject and any topic carried out well in the spirit of the science of teaching, that is pedagogy, and it is known by the term pedagogical analysis of the content. So basically what does this mean is, once we are through with our content analysis, then we need to analyze the content in pedagogical terms, that is we need to decide in what way are we going to teach that particular topic, in what are the methods, materials, medias which are to be used, and how are we going to assess the students accordingly. So these are the components of pedagogical analysis. The content analysis is the subject area that we have already discussed. Now this content analysis may be done generally also, but it is better that if we make use of concept maps for doing our content analysis, then followed by instructional objectives, then followed by instructional methods. What suggested methods, techniques or teaching learning activities or approaches are to be followed. Say for example, we may follow inductive approach, deductive approach, inductor-deductive approach, and or the newer methods, for example the constructivist approach. Then we need to decide what instructional medias are we going to follow, say suggested reading material, teaching aids, tools, equipment, ICT tools, etc. Then appropriate assessment tools and techniques. So all of these are very essential components of pedagogical analysis. And when we are doing pedagogical analysis, we have to take note of all of these. This is an example of class 8 social science, one of the topic, that is understanding marginalization. So we can see all of the different components of pedagogical analysis are shown here. We start with content analysis. So content is analyzed by way of different branches, and we can see that concept of marginalization is there, then Adivasis are discussed in detail, and then minority groups and their relative position in the society, they are also discussed. So these are the main subtopics, and then there are subsequently other topics are shown by subsequent chains. Then we have the objectives. So all of these objectives pertaining to all of these topics are written, and these objectives are written in behavioral terms. That is what exactly we would what are our expectations from the students once they are through with the topic. Then we come to instructional methods, that what instructional methods are we going to follow. So as we have discussed earlier, we need to look into, or we need to consider that we need to have variety of instructional methods. So we have lectures come discussion, wherever applicable we can have case studies, we can have role plays, we can have videos followed by discussions, or we can have you can say assignments which are done individually, or we can have it group wise. So say case studies and role plays can be done as a group work, videos can be played which can be followed by discussions. So these are the different instructional methods. Third, we come to instructional media. So we can make use of different kinds of instructional media. Say for example, textbook is there, we can have video clips, we can have handouts, or we can have some worksheets, or we can have some ICT resources. The basic point is we need to make use of those medias which students find interesting. So we can even use medias, or we can use instructional media we can make use of movies, or animation characters, or some actors, or some say series, or we need to find out the things with which our students connect, or the characters with which our students connect. So if we connect our content to those characters with whom the students connect, it's going to make much more sense for the students. It's going to make things much easier, simpler and interesting for the students. So when we are deciding about instructional media, we need to see things which are interesting for our students and not just things which are convenient for us. Next point is the assessments. Now when we are talking of assessments, we cannot, earlier there was a time when assessments were considered to be synonymous with the paper and pencil test. These days it is not so. When we are talking of the progressive methods of instruction, we also have to move ahead with our assessment systems. So we can make use of different techniques of assessments. For example, we can make use of observations, we can make use of performance assessments, or we can make use of the content analysis. So when we are talking of say observations, observation is a technique of assessment. So when we are making use of this technique, we need to have a tool. So rubrics can be used in order to assess the students on different say even individual work, or it can be a group work. If we are speaking in terms of say performance assessments, so say working on case studies and role play they are examples of performance assessments. So when the students are working on that, again we can make use of rubrics in order to evaluate or assess students. Then we have say content analysis is another technique of assessment. If say for example, if we want to assess the work of the students on their assignments, then we can make use of content analysis, and the tool that can be used is the rating scale. So we can see that the entire pedagogical analysis is being done on this paper for that one particular thing. Again, I would like to re-emphasize that there are no one ways of doing concept maps. Each person can draw their own concept map. The same thing can be done in a different way also. Say for example, each and every topic, say for example, the concept of marginalization can be taken up separately, and we can the teachers can draw different objectives based on only that topic, then instructional methods in instructional medias and assessment. So it can be done in a very different manner. We can also have a kind of a sequential map, or the line map, or a kind of a flow chart in order to make this kind of a pedagogical analysis. So again, I would like to emphasize that concept maps are very innovative, and they are very you can say volatile kind of, not volatile, dynamic kind of tools which are there in the hands of the teachers as well as the students, and it is up to the teachers and the students to understand and make use of them the way they want. Concept maps can be used for explaining, they can be used for planning, they can be used for assessments. Even concept maps can also be given as assignments to the students so that they can work on the concept maps themselves, and the teachers can then assess the students on the concept maps which they have made. Students doing concept maps can be done on an individual level, students doing concept maps can be done on a group based level also. So that is all for this particular presentation. So we in this particular presentation we have discussed what are concepts, what are concept maps, the uses, the advantages of concept maps, and the different ways in which we can make use of concept maps. Say for example, we can make use of concept maps for our own studying, our own planning. We can make use of concept maps for assessments also, then use of concept maps for content analysis, then use of concept maps for pedagogical analysis for teachers. So that is all for this. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, conclusion फिर से करते हैं एक बारी.
In this particular session, we have discussed about concepts, we have discussed about concept maps, what are concept maps, and the different ways in which we can draw concept maps, different types of concept maps, and the usages of concept maps. What are the advantages and what are the psychological basis of using concept maps for various purposes. And then we also discussed content analysis, what is content analysis and how do we make use of concept maps in content analysis. And we also discussed pedagogical analysis, what is pedagogical analysis and how do we make use of concept maps for pedagogical analysis. So I hope these things will be very interesting for you people, and I am sure your people are going to try it out in your classes for your own self and for the benefit of your students. Thank you so much.